Congratulations on making it to the end of section 2 of the complete iOS 11 developer course. Hopefully you now feel reasonably comfortable in the Xcode interface, you know what the various sections do, you've run several apps on the simulator, and you've written a reasonable amount of Swift code as well. So in this video we're going to put it all together and build our first proper app, which is called Cat Years. And here it is. So this is what you're going to be creating. We've got our title, Cat Years, at the top, and then a question, how old is your cat? And this app is based on the idea that your cat is 7 times older in cat years than they are in human years, as it were. So if your cat is 5 in human years, then you would expect it to be 35 in cat years. So all we're doing there is taking the number, multiplying it by 7, and then putting it into the result. But this is not quite as easy as it seems. There will be a few complications, so this is definitely a challenge. I would expect you to be able to get the interface up and running and to get some kind of interaction with the result, but there are some complications when it comes to actually multiplying the number by 7. I'll give you a little clue. You're going to need to convert the variable into an integer and then multiply it by 7 and then convert it back to a string. Now, if you're not sure at all what that means, you might want to just skip to the end of the video when you get there and follow along with that bit. Or if you're feeling bold, or if you've done some other programming before, you might want to give it a go yourself, maybe Google to see if you can figure out what the solution is. But either way, best of luck, get as far as you can, and then watch along with the video to see how I did it. Enjoy! All right then, I hope that went well. Let me show you how I would have done it. So we'll start with a new project, single view app. I'll call it Cat Years. Save it in the desktop, and off we go. So we'll start with the user interface. So on main storyboard, and I'm going to start by bringing in a label. And this label will be my title. So I'm going to center it. I'm going to make it nice and large and put it up there like that. Then we'll have another label saying how old is your cat. I think I'll center that one too. And we'll keep that one in just the usual font. Next, we'll have a text field for the user to enter their cat's age. In fact, for once, I don't think we need it full width. But I do want to change the keyboard type to a number pad to make life easier for our users. All right, next we'll have our button, and I'll change the text there to get age in cat years, and again I'll center that. And we're almost there. So finally we'll have one more label, which will be our result label. I'll stretch this out full, center the text, and I'll give this a different color, I think. We'll make this red, and we'll get rid of the label text. All right, and then just for a bit of decoration, let's bring in a nice picture of a cat. So I'm on Google Images here, images.google.com. I'm going to search for cat on Wikipedia. Oh, that first one looks great. Okay, fantastic. And it's from Wikipedia, so I'm fairly safe to use it. So control click, save image as. I'll change the name to just cat. And then save it there. Then we'll head back over to Xcode. And we want to drag in our cat image. So I'll jump to the Finder. There it is. That's our cat image. And I'll just drag that in as we did before. There we go. And then we'll need our image view. So let's stretch that out. We'll change it to aspect fit and change the image to our lovely cat. There we go. I think I'll make it a little bit wider. Great. Okay, let's just have a quick look and make sure that this all looks on the simulator itself like it does in our storyboard preview. And there we go. Brilliant. So I can put the age in, but of course doesn't do anything yet. Excellent. Although I am slightly concerned, I think I've probably put the cat on top of the label there. So I'll move the cat down a little bit. Good stuff. And let's just center our cat again. Great. Okay, time to write some code. So we'll bring in the assistant editor by clicking on the double circle. Get rid of the bits we don't need. There we go. Now I don't need to do anything with these labels, so I'll leave those, but I do need this text field. I'll call this age text field, just to get a clearer idea in my code of what it is. There we go, and we'll need the result label, I'll call it. So those are both outlets. And then we need to do something when the button is tapped. So I'm going to control drag that. And this time I'll create an action. And I'll call this get age. Okay. Right, now for the tricky stuff. As before, we need to start by getting the value of the text field, and we need to check to make sure that it exists. So we use if let, and we'll use the variable age to be age text field dot text. And then we'll have a pair of curly brackets. So what we're doing there is creating a variable called age with the let command, and we're setting it equal to age text field dot text, which is the value in the text field that the user has entered, and if it exists, then we'll do something with it. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, that thing that we want to do is multiply it by 7. Now, if I attempt to multiply age by 7, which I do using the asterisk, so age multiplied by 7 will have a problem. So we have the error binary operator star or asterisk can't be applied to operands of type string and int. Sounds much more complicated than it is. So anything that the user types into this box will be considered a string. And we can't multiply strings by numbers. We can only multiply numbers by numbers. So we need to convert this string into a number. But there's a chance that might not work. If they put the letter D, for example, into that box, we can't convert that into a number. So again, we need to do another check. So if let, and then I'll call this age as a number. And we're going to take our age and convert it to what's known as an integer or a whole number. And we do that using the method int, int. And if that works, then essentially we're good to go. So we're attempting to create a variable called age as number, which is going to be the same as age, but an integer. So a different variable type. Again, we'll see a lot more of this in the next section, so don't worry about it in too much detail, but we're converting it into a number which we can then do some multiplication on. So now we can take our age as a number and multiply it by 7 to get our age in cat years. So we'll call this age in cat years, and that's going to be equal to age as number multiplied by 7. And we don't need any if statements there. We know that's going to work because we've already checked to see that age as number is a number. So we will be able to multiply it by 7. Now, all that remains is to display that result to the user. So we're going to take result label and we want to change the text of result label, and we want to set that equal to your cat is, don't forget the space, and let's try using age in cat years. That's going to be the age, and then we'll have in cat years as the last bit of the string. But you can see this gives us another error. Let's just go back to viewcontroller.swift full to read that error. So binary operator plus cannot be used to apply it. Again, we're trying to put an integer into a string. And there are several different ways we can do that actually, and we'll see some of them in the next section. But perhaps the simplest, given that we've converted a string to an integer using int, you might be able to guess that we can use string to do the opposite. So we've now converted our integer back to a string, and that should now all work as we want it to. All right, fingers crossed. Let's give it a go. So let's say my cat is 3 years old. I want the age in cat years. Your cat is 21. That's it. Fantastic. For my cat is 4, 28. Brilliant. So there we go. If you managed to do the whole thing yourself, fantastic, well done. There were a few challenges in there around variable types, and hopefully that was a nice introduction into some of the subtleties of Swift, as well as the basic ideas of programming and iOS development as a whole. Okay, so now it's time to move on to the next section, which is a Swift deep dive. So we'll really go into these issues about what different variable types there are, how if statements work, and we'll look at things like loops and optionals as well. So there's a huge amount to learn. Take a moment to congratulate yourself on getting this far, and then jump straight on to section 3.